Well, we're excited to be in the Big 12 Challenge. You know, we hadn't been in this thing in a few years, so we're excited that we get to be in it and get to represent the SEC, which will be good. And it's a good opportunity for us. You know, we you know, in our non-conference, we haven't played as well as we needed to. We have obviously a very, very good win over Liberty here at home, but we don't really have much to hang our hat on away from home. So this is a great opportunity for us to get a big win, a quad one win away from home, and kind of tack that onto our NCAA tournament resume. So there's a lot going on for us in this game. This would be a big opportunity for us, and we know Texas is going to be ready. They're talented. They're well coached. They're they're backed in a corner a little bit, coming off a rough outing against West Virginia, but things kind of unraveled there for them for a little stretch, and they weren't able to recover. But they've played good basketball for a majority of the year. You watch them play Kansas and some the Oklahoma State game and some of those other games they've played very, very well, and so we've got to be ready to go, and hopefully we can represent the SEC and play well enough where they'll keep us in this thing for a few years.
I'm sorry if you've been asked this before, but can you just talk about some of your relationship with Shaka and just kind of what you learned from him as a coach?
Just ask Sheldon to play the recording from this morning. No, seriously. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be a head coach as fast as I was if it wasn't for Shaka. You know, we've known each other for a long time. We used to work camps together. They used to allow, like support staff members to work camps. And so we would go to this camp in New Jersey, the Hoop Group camp. We worked that together, and we got to know each other there. And then Coach Purnell hired him from Akron when I was at Clemson. And so we were at Clemson together and for a year, and then he left and I left, and then we were able to reunite when he got the head coaching job at VCU. And obviously he had a lot of success at VCU, and a lot of us assistants were able to kind of ride those coattails and parlay that into some jobs, some head coaching jobs for ourselves. So he's been him along with Coach Purnell and Coach, a lot of guys have been major influences, and I've worked with him longer than anybody else I work for as an assistant, and so a lot of the things we do in our program are built around what he does. And I told our guys this is the truth. They're obviously coming off a tough loss, but one thing I learned from him is you better have relationships with the players. You better spend time with the players, and he does that maybe the best of anybody in college basketball. And so those guys are going to play hard for him. Whatever their best is, we're going to see their best on Saturday, because they're going to rally around him, and they're going to play hard for him, and he's going to have them ready to go. And they're never going to tune him out because of the relationships and the times that he spends with them off the court. And it's a major lesson I learned from him that I've tried to carry with me as I've gone through coaching.
How much do you guys keep in touch during the season, and then what's this week like in terms of that contact?
He follows us, and I follow them, and we'll shoot texts back and forth to each other. In the past we've scrimmaged each other. We've done you can do those close scrimmages. This year we didn't because we were playing. But in the past we've scrimmaged each other, and then certainly I'll ask him what he thinks about our team, and he'll ask me what I think about their team. But we certainly stay in touch and follow them and root for them and wish them nothing but the best except for Saturday.
What most did you learn from him? I know you've told me you learned a lot of recruiting from Kevin Nickelberry and Tommy Amico. What did you take most from
I just talked about spending time with the players, how important your relationships are with the players, being able to spend time with them, being able to relate to them. He's one of those guys, when you're an assistant, you think you know everything. And he'd always tell me, hey, I can't wait till you get a head coaching job. I can't wait till you get a head coaching job because I'd walk in and I'd say, Coach, this is crazy what we're doing. I don't know what the heck you're doing. This makes no sense. Man, I'll just wait till you're a head coach, and I'll be darned if I don't do about 80% of the stuff he did that I thought was nuts. I tell my staff that now. I said, just wait till you're head coach. You're going to call me in about 6 months into the job and say, man, I see why you did it that way now. And, the amount of time and care and concern, he put into every player. And, he had a knack for things. We were playing really well at VCU. I'll never forget this. And this is a lesson I learned. We were playing really well at VCU, and we had a kid, Brandon Rozelle, who was a really, really good shooter and just a very, very good player for us. He was on our Final Four team. And we had a kid, Troy Daniels, who's now in the NBA, plays for the Lakers, and very, very good player as well. And Troy was his backup, didn't play much the first couple years. And Coach would always stay after practice and shoot with Troy. Every day he'd stay after practice and shoot with Troy. And I'm sitting there thinking, golly, Coach, Troy plays like he hardly ever gets in the game. He's a sophomore. He hardly ever gets in the game. Like, quit wasting your time with him. Go spend time with one of these cats that's going to play. And lo and behold, Rozelle got hurt. Kind of the same injury Manning has. Fifth metatarsal in his foot. Was out for like 4 days. And I don't want to quote the exact amount of points. But anyway, we were playing William and Mary on the road. I'll never forget. We played William and Mary on the road. We were in the CAA at the time before VCU had gone to the Atlantic 10. And we ended up having to play Troy a lot. And I want to say he hit 3 or 4 threes in the game. But a lot of that was just a product of Coach Smart spending so much time with him and being able to, the kid knew he believed in him when we had to put him in. And I didn't have the foresight now to, at that time I wasn't smart enough to say, you know what, maybe something's going to happen and we're going to need Troy. And Coach saw in Troy some things that a lot of the rest of us didn't see. And that's what I tell our staff all the time. Like, we got to keep, that's why we work with Cortez Cooper every day after practice. That's why we spend time with, that's why we keep working with these guys every day. It's because you never know when you're going to need them. That's why you make Hyatt shoot every day after practice. You never know when his 2 threes are going to come up huge for us at Ole Miss. And so a lot of that stuff, I learned from him. That was a long answer, sorry.
Coach, obviously the last couple of games have been kind of down the wire and got to be kind of stressful. I mean, what do you think it is about your team that's made it been like that, and what do you think you can take from games like that, especially heading to a game like this?
Well, I think certainly we've got some confidence in those type situations, and we feel good about what we do. But we've got to learn how to avoid those situations. I know I sound like a broken record up here talking about that all the time, but we've got to be better at getting ourselves out of those tricky situations and being able to, expand leads. For whatever reason, the last 2 games we've had double-digit leads, and they both come down to the wire because we just haven't been able to execute, haven't been as sharp and as good with things as we needed to be. So, we'll try to learn from film and learn a few things and break it down, and hopefully we'll get better. Our guys have been good at taking things from film and getting better and learning, and hopefully this will be no different.
What are some things that this Texas team in particular does pretty well, and maybe some things you guys might be able to exploit?
Well, they shoot a bunch of threes. Almost 40% of their shots on the year are from 3, and so we've got to do a good job, guarding the three-point line. Defensively, they're very stout. The new assistant coach hired came from Michigan with Beeline, and they're very, very solid defensively. Their rotations are solid. Defensively, their ball screen defense is sharp. They shrink the floor. And so that's going to be a challenge, scoring on them and getting the pace going a little bit like we want to. And then we've got to go in there and not get barraged by 3 from threes. They hit 3 straight threes, not 3 straight, but they hit 3 threes to get a quick lead on Kansas State that they were able to just kind of roll with from there when they played Kansas State in a home win. So, I really think we got to do a good job there, and they've got some good shooters, and then while doing that, we can't just let Sims have a dunk fest under the rim. Jericho Sims, a very good player, one of the most improved players in the Big 12, and we can't let him just dunk it on us all day because we're out there huddled up running to 3-point shooters.
Marlon, he scored in double figures the last 2 games. Has he sort of answered the call since Charles went down?
So far he has. He's got to stay consistent. It's it's not easy, but you've got to be consistent. You know, it's one thing to answer the call 1 or 2 games. We need him to answer the call for another 15 games or however many games we got left in this deal. You know, we need him to keep answering the bell and keep playing well and keep doing what he does. It's a byproduct of his preparation, though. He's preparing a lot better, and amazingly, he plays a lot better.
You said on the radio show last night, Shaka knows what you're going to do. You know what Shaka's going to do.
He's changed up his offense a little bit.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah, he's changed some stuff up. I mean, I give him credit. He's running a bunch of 5-out stuff. We started the year running a bunch of 5-out stuff, and I kind of scrapped it and said, I'm going to go back to what we know and what we do. You know, he's stuck with it. He's got a little more stick-to-itiveness than I do. He's probably a little more stubborn than I am, although we're both pretty stubborn. But, you know, they do some different things. They still run some of the bread and butter stuff, but they don't run the hooks and that stuff like that I learned from him. They don't run that as frequently. So they've changed the offense up a little bit. They do a lot of stuff off the elbows, try to get their bigs the ball at the elbows and play out of that, and that's just not something we've done. I mean, we get the ball to Watford there and kind of let him go to work, but outside of that, we don't do a whole lot. But he's going to know. I mean, he's going to know every play call we call out just about. I mean, we got new stuff that he hadn't seen. It's not like we've added some stuff to what we did when we were with him. But I mean, he's watching film, going, "Oh, there's hook 1. Oh, there's hook 2. Oh, there's there's not going to be many secrets."
How do you feel going out of conference play, especially since your guys have had so much momentum in league play?
That's a good question. You know, it's interesting. I was looking at the last time we did this was when I was at Chattanooga, and we were kind of in the same spot. We were right in the first place hunt in the league race, and we had to go play a midweek road game at Eastern Kentucky, and we just got demolished by Jeff Neubauer. And then we got back in league and played pretty well. So, you know, it's different, but like I said, it's a great opportunity for us because we got some holes on our resume, and to be able to play a good team like this on the road is a very, very important opportunity and step for us, and we got to take advantage of it.
It just got me thinking, you know, in Big 12, you know, obviously football, their offenses are kind of known for their performance. Is there anything, I guess, systemic about Big 12 basketball that kind of stands out, or is that just not something that really?
I don't know. I think all of them do it a little bit. All of them do it a little bit differently. I mean, I think the defense in the league's really good. You look at Baylor's defense is phenomenal. Texas's defense is very good. I've just from watching tape, I've watched Oklahoma State's defense look good. Kansas State's defense looked really good to me. I think Oklahoma's probably a little more offensive oriented than defensive oriented. Just from what I've seen, I've only watched the teams that Texas has played in the league. West Virginia, they're obviously very defensive oriented. They don't press quite like they have in the past. But I would say the teams are a little bit more defensive oriented than offensive oriented from what I've observed. But like I said, I've only watched a handful of 5 or 6 ball games in the Big 12. I got enough to worry about in the SEC, Glenn.
Coach, can you speak to the impact that Emmett Williams has kind of had? I think it's been double figures the last 4 games. And how important is he, especially energy-wise, when you're trying to get these late-game wins and, I guess, bring that extra intensity?
Huge play in the Florida game. He gets his shot blocked by Payne, gets his own rebound, goes back up and finishes it for an and one. And so, Emmett's motor is just tremendous. And he plays extremely hard. He goes after every ball. He's tenacious on both ends, and he gets wrapped up in the game. We were talking this morning after workouts. Me and him were having a little chat, and he thought he got called for goaltending. I said, no, it wasn't a goaltend. You got called for a foul, on the tip in there. And he said, yeah, I didn't realize it was a foul till my dad said something to me yesterday. And so, I'm using that. That's just how honed in he is on what he needs to do and what his job is. He's not worried about all the other stuff. He's very, very focused and laser-like focus on what he needs to do and what his job is. And, his main job is to bring energy. And, he's doing a really good job with post defense. That was an issue. That was an area we thought could be a major issue for us, and it hasn't really been an issue outside of the Southern Cal game, really. It hasn't really been an issue, and that's because he battles his tail off down there. Now, offensively, with him playing the 5, we get a lot of good mismatches. You know, it's hard for teams to guard him and that sort of thing. But the way he's battled defensively, I mean, it's a physical, you know, it's a man's game down there, and so it's a physical battle. And what he's done for us defensively is just been tremendous.